Jen, don't terrify the audience. The world definitely does not need two of me. Jamie McLennan, Darren Dreger alongside. 6 nights ago, this felt impossible. 3 nights ago, still improbable. Now it is both conceivable and unbelievable. You said it, Jen. It's almost 80 years since any team has come back from 0-3 to even force a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals. What are we witnessing here? Is this the greatest comeback in modern hockey history or the greatest collapse in modern hockey history?
I think we might be seeing a little bit of both, James, but I'm going to slide over to the Oilers situation, and I'm going to call myself out because you mentioned we sat here, and it wasn't that long ago after Game 3, and they were down 3-0, and I said there is no chance they're coming back.
You weren't alone.
There's no chance they're going to beat Sergei Bobrovsky 4 times in a row, how well he's played. That's not the case. Now, the Edmonton Oilers were making a case for themselves saying, hey, we've been streaky, we've been resilient. I thought that was just lip service. That's not been the case whatsoever. They've had top players step up. They've had great goaltending, all sorts of situations. But the bottom line is that the Edmonton Oilers deserve to be heading to a Game 7 for one game to try and win the Stanley Cup.
We've been to a lot of Stanley Cup Finals, and we've been in some very loud buildings. I don't think I've ever heard a chant louder than what we heard here tonight. We want the cup near the end of the hockey game, and the fans mattered on this night here in Game 6. There's no doubt about that. And you got to wonder about where the adjustment was made. Where did the switch get flipped from Edmonton's standpoint? I remember having a conversation with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins when the Oilers are down 3-0, and he just said, we're not winning enough battles. In any area of the ice, we're not winning the battles. And Zach Hyman said, we got to find a way to embrace the messy, especially on the power play. And we're seeing all of that now, right? Yeah. So the pressure is 100% on the Florida Panthers. And you're right, James. I mean, there's only one way you can look at this, depending on which side you cheer for. Is it an epic comeback? And every fan in this building would say absolutely. Or is it an epic collapse? We're going to find out Monday in Game 7.
Talking about that crowd, I was amidst 70,000 screaming Argentinians last night, and I thought it was the loudest crowd I'd ever heard, and 18,005 screaming Edmontonians felt almost as loud tonight. It was deafening. We have a ton more from these guys and a ton of post-game reaction for you, starting with Zach Hyman with Emily Kaplan.
In our locker room, the fans, everybody believes in us, and it's special to play here, special to play in this game in front of this crowd and to force a Game 7.
What was the turning point in this series in your room?
I think it's just an unshakable belief. We've talked about it a bunch, and no matter what happens throughout the year, we always believe that we can pull through. No matter how dire the circumstances, we think we have a chance. So it was a long season facing adversity to prepare us to battle back, but the next one's going to be the hardest.
How good does it feel right now, though, just to be in this position?
I can barely hear you, but it feels unbelievable to do it in front of this crowd and to have a chance to win now. It's our first opportunity to win.
Well, you can barely hear me because this crowd, this city has been unreal these last few days. What's it been like living here, feeling this energy?
I'm going to try. I couldn't hear you, sorry.
Just tell me about what it's been like being in Edmonton, feeling this energy.
It's unbelievable. It's the best place. Everybody just cares so much, and no matter what, we were down 3-0, they were still supporting us. It's unbelievable to play here, and it's just special.
Thanks, Zach. We'll see you in Florida.
Thank you so much.
And now the flip side, Panthers coach Paul Maurice.
We talked about tonight, how we'll handle tonight. I think I'm going to get the opportunity to meet with you people 5 more times before the next game. We'll start building that out. It didn't happen after the game.
Stay in that same row, left side, Jordan.
Paul, all 3 games, you guys struggled out of the gate. Just what are you seeing, especially in the first periods over these last few games?
So I didn't feel we struggled in the first period. Last game we gave up a shorthanded. I liked their first period an awful lot. They were good in the first period. They were quick and they were honest. We didn't move the puck well enough to pull that off.
Right side, first row.
Paul, understand the emotion in the moment, but I'm wondering now what you thought of the offside review and did they get the call right?
I have no idea. It may well have been offside. The lines person informed me that it was the last clip that they got where they made the decision that it shows it's offside. I don't have those. So the video that I got at my bench, so I was upset after the call based on what I see at my feet and what my video person looks at. There was no way I would have challenged that if it was reversed. There was no way I thought you could conclusively say that was offside. I don't know what the Oilers get. I don't know what the league gets. I just know that when I would have had to have challenged that based on what I saw, I would not have challenged. I'm not saying it's not offside. We'll get still frames. We bring in the CIA. We'll figure it out. But for in the 30 seconds that I would have made that call, I would not have challenged.
Left side, fourth row.
Paul, the power play, it's been a topic of conversation. You've been able to survive without it, but now it's a Game 7 and you guys can't seem to get it going. What are you seeing on the power play? Like, what's missing right now?
I think we're lacking a little bit of offensive speed, and that would be true of our 5-on-5 game. We're getting jammed into corners. So we'll look at places that we can generate speed or keep our speed.
Right side, front row.
Yeah, Paul, you guys didn't have a shot from a forward until over half the game had been played. Is that what you said before, speed, or are they doing something else?
Yeah, both. We would have had some that didn't go in or missed the net or things of that nature, so that would be it. Yeah, correct.
Take two more questions for Coach, front left.
To have Sasha score 10 seconds after they make it 2-0 would have been a huge pivot point in the game, obviously. What kind of emotional drain was that for you guys on the bench to get it knocked off the board?
Well, you're looking for a jump start at that point. The shots are 11-2 in the first period, so we need something to go. I think they ended up 11-4 in the second period. They scored on 2 of them. And it would have been a spark for us for sure. His next goal was, I thought we had a little bit of juice there after that, but yeah, it was unfortunate that it was called back.
One more for Coach, front left.
Well, fascinating to hear Maurice address what was the critical juncture of this game and perhaps the entire series. Adam Henrique scores to make it 2-0, and just 10 seconds later, it looks like Florida has pulled within 1, and by an eyelash, it's offside on the review. Maurice says he would not have even reviewed that, and again, he's looking at a tablet.
Yeah.
The NHL has a big room with every angle and every monitor, but how critical a moment.
Well, it was critical. It was a turning point. There's no doubt about that, because the game shifts with a momentum play like that. I mean, if the Barkov goal stands, it's a 2-1 hockey game, and maybe that's the life injection that the Florida Panthers need. But the NHL got this right, and I can appreciate what Paul is saying here. He acknowledged that the NHL told him that it was the last clip that they received that convinced them that the call on the ice needed to be overturned. And that's an important distinction here. So he's qualifying it by saying what he saw on his tablet from his video people wasn't the clip that determined ultimately for the Situation Room to overturn. And you have to also be mindful of everybody involved in that process. That's not a decision that ultimately is being made in Toronto. No, right. It's being made by a group of people, including the on-ice officials. And to overturn it, they must have had that extra clip that defines, even though, as you say, James, maybe offside by a whisker. Doesn't matter if it's 10 feet or it's a half a centimeter. Offside is offside.
It was offside, and I thought that Paul Maurice was very diplomatic, because he said his view at his feet, he wouldn't have challenged that. Well, there was video coaches in both dressing rooms that get in the ear of the coach, and they basically say, hey, we need to challenge this, or I would pass on that. Kris Knoblauch's group and their video coaches decided to make that challenge. I think it was the TSN turning point. Sure. That was the difference.
It's the challenge of all time if they win the Stanley Cup.
It really is, because you could see Florida comes back 10 seconds later and makes that a 2-1 game. You could actually hear some of the air come out of the building. So it was an unbelievable challenge. They were able to keep it at 2-0, and then they end up extending the lead at 3-0 on the Zach Hyman breakaway.
Well, the other thing is, Paul Maurice says he wouldn't have challenged it. If it went the other way and that was Florida and they didn't challenge it, that would have been one of the greatest mistakes of the Stanley Cup Final. It was only that frame, that last little frame, that it looked like, yes, he was in just before the puck, but just a momentous moment. in the hockey game, and you could feel the building change, the tension when it was.
I mean,
they thought it was 2-1.
There was a lot of angst in this building. You knew the team could feel it, but the building was excited. But they wanted this game. They wanted to will them to win. But that was a game changer. That challenge was unbelievable, and it was the difference in this game because Edmonton took off after that.
Not the only difference. Some major players for Edmonton. Leon Draisaitl showed up. Stuart Skinner was terrific again. They're both at the podium.
Hey guys, Stuart, this is for you. Just the penalty kill has been unbelievable. What are you seeing on it? And it looks like you guys almost, you're up for that challenge when you guys got to kill a penalty, and it just looks like no one's ever going to score on that power play.
Yeah, we're hoping that stays the way. But yeah, the guys are just battling really hard. I think that us being able to win the face-off on the first draw and being able to get it out is a big help, just because we're doing a really good job on our forecheck. We're keeping guys on the outside in the neutral zone, and when they do get their chances, we get big blocks. I think we just got a really good flow going right now, and we've gotten a lot of opportunities on the PK, so for us to have that sort of chemistry has been great, and we got to do that for another game.
Left side, front row, Daniel.
Leon right here. How would you describe the way Zach Hyman has scored this year and the way he's been able to keep it up in the playoffs as well?
It's impressive. He's a heck of a hockey player. Very unique. He's like a little bull, and obviously he jumps out of the gate like nobody can. His first couple strides are so powerful, and I think you can really see it today on the goal. He just explodes out of there, and he's gone. And then obviously he's calm, cool, and collected in front of the net. Just knows where to go. Really smart hockey player.
Left side, third row, Dan.
Yeah, Stu, you guys are down 3-0, and I think you said something along the lines of, if any team can do this, the Oil can. And it sounds like just words at that time, right? But you guys believed. Why? Like, why did you believe that this was possible?
Having a belief, I think, it's kind of an untold, it's hard to really put it into words. There's just a feeling, a really strong feeling of belief with this whole group, and we've had that for a long time now. And no matter what situation that we put ourselves in, we always do have that belief. So me saying that felt very just normal. I really do believe in this group, and I'm sticking to those words. If anyone can do it, it's the Oil. So, we got a lot more work to do here, though.
Left side, front row, Bob.
Leon, the numbers speak for themselves with what you and Connor have done over the last several years, regular season and playoffs. But can you speak to your teammates and what they've accomplished in the last 2 rounds against 2 really deep teams? Because that's part of why we're going to have a Game 7 here.
Well, that's the reason why we're sitting here, right? Our PK, wins us games most nights. That's just a fact. And this league's too good to, outscore every team and be scoring every single night. So you need depth. You need, other guys to step up, and we've had that throughout the run.
That's it.
Let's discuss both of those gentlemen we just heard from. Noodles, I remember you saying before the series, Skinner didn't have to outplay Bobrovsky. He just had to be solid. But he has outplayed Bobrovsky by a wide margin now in 3 straight games, which is perhaps one of the more surprising and determining things of this series.
Considering Bobrovsky, after 3 games, had both hands on the Conn Smythe and stole Game 1 and was brilliant in Game 3. But Stuart Skinner, if you take a look at his body work throughout the whole season, now he had a bad start, just like the Edmonton Oilers. He ended up playing in 59 games this season, and there has been pockets throughout the playoffs where he's allowed a poor goal, but he's been able to bounce back, been very resilient. Again, against the Vancouver Canucks, he sits and watches for 2 games. In this game, he made a couple fantastic saves, and I always talk about a starting goaltender giving your team the right save at the right time. In the second period, it was a right pad save on a 2-on-1 on Barkov. Here in the third period, he digs it off the goal line and then gets it to Darnell Nurse for the empty netter. So makes an unbelievable save and gets an assist. Stuart Skinner is playing at the top of his game. All they need is one more unbelievable performance, and Edmonton gets the job done.
Draisaitl called himself out before this one. About the second time I think he's done that in this series. And the goalless drought continues, but he was flying in the first, and when the game was still very much in doubt, had a significant impact.
Found his legs, right? And he talked about that this morning prior to Game 6, just how he'd been struggling in this series, and he wasn't able to find his momentum, find those legs to get to the standard that he knows that he needs to play at for the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup. But this is the best game that he's played to this point of the Stanley Cup Final against the Florida Panthers. You're right, James. We saw it right from the puck drop. He had pop. He had good stride on the rush. I mean, this saucer pass to Warren Foegele to get the game rolling was absolute elite. And then he continued to push as the game progressed. So this is more of what we're used to seeing from Leon Draisaitl. And also of note, I mean, Zach Hyman had a big game, a huge goal for the Edmonton Oilers. How about that Foegele goal? Adam Henrique chips in again. And it wasn't and didn't have to be the Connor McDavid show. This was a complete team performance.
That's what was impressive, because Connor McDavid 0 on the score sheet, but that is dangerous for the Florida Panthers moving forward.
Probably.
But also on Draisaitl, we all know, and I think everyone's acknowledged, he's not at 100%. You mentioned he's called himself out 3 times here in the finals. I thought he was brilliant in this game because he set the tone for the group. That pass was elite. Warren Foegele, all he had to do was elevate the puck, and he did. That set the tone for the team. When Draisaitl's on his game, he moves his feet, he uses his body to his advantage, and he was shooting the puck. He had the one shot on the power play in the back door. You could tell he wanted the puck a little bit earlier from Evan Bouchard. They had a conversation after that, but now it's all about one game for takes all. We know he's banged up, but I still think we're going to see the best of Leon Draisaitl in Game 7, and the scary part is 97 is going to show up too.
Well, this game really indicative of how the Oilers changed this season. We saw it in the regular season. We've seen it throughout the playoffs, how they've learned to win in different ways. And they can win on a night when McDavid isn't productive offensively at all, getting contributions from all around, playing good defensive hockey and getting good goaltending from Stuart Skinner. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins let me down tonight because I drew him in the game-winning goal pool, and he didn't score, but he didn't let the Oilers down. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I think for 60 we were hard. I think they had a tough time generating some good offense. Obviously, they had some good looks where Stu stepped up and made some big saves. The offside call. I mean, it's a nice break to go our way for sure. But I thought we just stuck with it and believed in ourselves and made it tough on them.
How many times were you sitting on the bench watching it? What was your sense? Did you think it was counting, not counting?
We saw it right away, and it was very close, but the one angle we saw was definitely still touching the blue when he was his skate was over. So we had a good feeling. It's just kind of it still makes me nervous about whether they're seeing it, if it's conclusive. But I think we had a good feeling about that one.
That's a big call for Kris to make. I don't know what to say about his confidence and just the belief that he has against the competition, guys.
Yeah, I think he saw it right away too, and we were all sitting there. We saw it. The other coaches, same thing. So at the end of the day, he's got to make the call. So I know it's probably a little stressful to make that call at that time of game, but made the right decision, of course.
Ryan, the job's not done yet, but what's it like to give this crowd in the last game of the season here that kind of a send-off?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was amazing. These fans have been behind us. I mean, since I've been here, and the season's been incredible. And to be able to do a job tonight in front of them, and it was really special. We know the job's not done, and they know the job's not done. So we're excited for the opportunity.
What's the preparation for a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final going to be like for this team?
I mean, our focus is going to be on the start. We know what we can do and how we need to play to get the result we need, but it's going to come down to a good start and play with confidence.
Ryan, you've...
And now Oilers head coach Kris Knoblauch.
Hey, Kris. It's rare to see a penalty kill dominate the way you guys are doing right now. What are you seeing in it? And it just looks like the guys are taking so much pride going out there. I don't want to say you can't wait to take a penalty, but they're going out there with so much pride and so much confidence right now.
Well, yeah, they have. One, they're prepared. They know what they do, and I think that we have a good system for the group that we have. But confidence is an amazing thing. Where you see with one player who gets on a roll, scoring goals or whatever it is. But now we've got 6 or 7 forwards, 4 or 5 defensemen having that same confidence and being able to work together for the penalty kill. And then, hey, we do have breakdowns. There are things that don't go perfectly. That's where your goaltender has come up big, and Stewie's been outstanding.
In that same role, Mike?
Kris, most of the decisions that you've made, we've talked about this throughout the playoffs, you seem to have pushed the right buttons. That video review is a very close play. If it goes against you, not only you give up a goal, but they go to the power play. Can you take us through what went through your thinking as that video review went through?
Our process it starts with our video coaches. Noah and Mike are the ones who look at it. They headset Stewie, Mark Stewart, and then we talk about it on the bench. Obviously, we can see it down by our feet, and I actually didn't think it was that close. We were going to call it right away, and we had a little more time to review it, and we're like, okay. The only hesitation was maybe there wasn't the right video. In my mind, it was definitely offside. But I guess you never know. But yeah, it was something we wanted to challenge almost immediately when we saw it.
Left side, front row, Daniel.
Kris, for the last few days, it seems like all we've been doing is talking about Connor and his offensive exploits. To get big contributions from Leon Draisaitl, Zach Hyman, what does that mean to the group, and what would you say kind of about the way they've started to step up in this series?
Yeah, no, they've been, Zach's got, I believe, 2 goals in the last 2 games. Not that early in the series he was playing bad, they just weren't going in. Same with Leon. Leon's first 2 shifts, he almost scored on the first shift off the wrist shot just inside the blue line. And then, beautiful pass to set up Fogle. Yeah, those 2 have been really good, and maybe they're not showing up as much on the score sheet throughout the series as they usually do, as you just get accustomed to. But their contributions to the team have been huge.
In that same row, Josh.
Kris, just you guys were dead and buried for most people, 10 days ago. What have the last 10 days been like for you, and watching this turn the way it has?
It's been fun. It hasn't been stressful. We're just playing, and I know we've surprised a lot of people, but I don't think we've surprised anybody in the room. We felt that we could do this, and we put on winning streaks before. We felt early in the series, down 3. We felt that, we could have won 2 of those, in our opinion. We thought we played well enough to win those, and they just didn't go our way. And now we're just playing and backs up against the wall. We've been written off many times throughout the season, so I don't know. We've been a pretty loose group. It's nice to be around this team because I think they're having the time of their lives right now. And not right now, only not because we're just going to Game 7. I think we were having a great time even when we're down 3 games.
Right side, front row, Ryan.
It wasn't Mark Messier guaranteeing the win in '94, but 10 days ago when he was asked about his team's chances down 0-3, and he said, I'm looking forward to the next 10 days. If they do win, that'll be one of those legendary prophetic comments of confidence. What do we expect from a Game 7 now? The Oilers have all the momentum. We've always said it doesn't exist game to game in the playoffs, but if not momentum, then dominant play and confidence is what they have. What do you expect?
Flip the coin.
Yeah.
That's what I expect. But look, as we talked about after Game 5, I believe in the push of momentum, and the Edmonton Oilers undoubtedly have that on their side. But you get into a Game 7 environment, as I was Well, I talked to you yesterday about what happens in a Game 7 situation, especially when you give up the games that the Florida Panthers have given up. They now maybe have a looseness about them because we're talking about the Oilers' momentum, and the Oilers should win Game 7. So maybe the Florida Panthers go, look, we're on home ice. Let's just throw it against the wall and see what happens.
Well, and we remember when the Cup was in the building for Game 4 and the Panthers had to fly their families in. And I think that anxiety and pressure got to them in Game 4. This will be the first time the Oilers can win the Cup. All their families will be coming down. So, who knows how they will react.
Well, there's lots of distractions that come with it. And maybe a negative point to momentum is there's the travel day tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So if you played Sunday, it's fresh. You just go right back at it. You're playing Monday, and you're right. It is the Oilers' first time for an opportunity to win a Stanley Cup. So all the distractions of family and cousins and brothers and everybody that wants to get down there is going to make the push. You hope that the Edmonton Oilers deal with that tomorrow. And Sunday they can refocus and go back at it with the game on Monday. But the Florida Panthers, I think they can play a loose game. You're right, it is a coin flip for me. The Edmonton Oilers have just given themselves an opportunity to get to Game 7. They haven't finished the job yet.
Darnell Nurse was mic'd up for Game 5. I don't know if you saw at the end when he was yelling, "Fire up the bird!"
Yeah.
Fire! He's yelling it again. Here's the Oilers defenseman.
Yeah, it was a great team effort, I think, start to finish. We sustained some zone time. We were able to defend well, and Skins made some huge saves at big moments. So for us, that's a good recipe. All we did was buy ourselves a chance to play one more game.
Here's the PK now. What's going on with that PK? You guys just dominated.
We're playing with instinct and fast, and closing things down when the block needs to be made. Guys are making blocks. It's good. I like what we're doing. I think for us, even when we have success, we're always trying to evolve and be even more on our toes. And Mark Stewart does a great job of preparing us for the game. So it's been good, been instinctual, been fast, shutting stuff down, but we got to do it again.
Winning some big battles too.
Yeah, there's loose pucks. I feel like we're doing a good job of cleaning up sticks and being physical. And when we have the chance to clear a puck, we've been getting our clears too. So it's a good recipe.
When you hear Leon Draisaitl, talk about his own play and how much he wants to be better. I mean, and then you see what he goes out there and does tonight. Maybe just your thoughts on that kind of picture with Leon today and what he did.
I mean, he's a horse. He's been he's one of the best players in the world and done so much for this team throughout the year and this organization since he's been here. So he's always showing up at the biggest moments. You look at all of his playoff performances. He's one of the best to ever do it. So he was huge tonight. And I know, knowing him, we want to re-gear and get ready for the next one.
Darnell, if the last two games were about your captain putting your team on his back, not just Leon, not just Hyman, but a lot of depth guys getting points to 11 different points for his job, not just everybody else contributing, kind of rising up to what McDavid had done the last 2 games.
Yeah, obviously he's been a leader and catalyst for us these last few games, and it's great for the group to be able to contribute and add to that. And if we want to have success here in the last game, we're going to need to continue that.
Did a switch?
Ryan Rishaug up from the dressing rooms. He's joined us. The last Stanley Cup Final to go 7 games was 2019, St. Louis and Boston. Remember, that was the year St. Louis was in last place and storybook season. And this would be another one of those as the Edmonton Oilers were in last place. And you watched every game all season long as they battled back into the playoff position and now 1 game away from the Stanley Cup. What has struck you about what they've done over these last 3 games?
Well, it's been impressive the way they've dialed it in defensively, right? People think of the Oilers as this offensive juggernaut, but they're playing such fantastic defense here. But honestly, I got to talk about Kris Knoblauch a little bit here, James. Like, I was befuddled upstairs in the press box when I was watching the lines, and I'm going, why did he flip-flop Nugent-Hopkins and Foegele? They won the last 2 games. Draisaitl's trying to get some offense going, and he took his offensive winger away. It didn't make sense. And then Draisaitl sets up Foegele, and goal goes in, and it worked. Again, another subtle touch, you guys. I've never seen a coach with this much feel for the subtleties, the small little things in his lineup. And what's impressive, Dregs, the guy just got here. He doesn't have 3 years experience with this group.
No, look, I mean, he makes the final decisions as head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, and he's also the guy that faces the heat when those decisions don't go the way of the club. But he leans on his assistant coaches. Paul Coffey on defense, Mark Stewart on defense and the penalty kill, Glenn Gulletson on the power play and all the offensive decisions. This is a committee of work that's being done. But at the end of the day, Kris Knoblauch is doing an excellent
Did you hear his answer when I asked him why? He goes, I was just jotting stuff down. I probably just put the wrong number down. So there's something deep and tactical that he's not sharing.
Crafty.
It's incredible, and let's end by repeating what we said off the top. First of all, the Oilers have outscored Florida now 20-5 since that third period of Game 3. But 80 years, the 45 Leafs, the last team to come back from 0-3 to even force a Game 7. And so now, the Edmonton Oilers have a chance for the most epic Stanley Cup win in our lifetime in Florida on Monday night.